All right, guys, let's move into education. Please mount that like button if you haven't already. Now, this one, dude. This one hit me right in the feels. I think that this is from Naruto and Locals. Thank you for posting this. This one really hit me when I saw this headline. 77% tested at a Baltimore high school read at an elementary level, some at kindergarten level. So, one of the sacrifices that we've made in education in regards to implementing critical race theory and social emotional learning and all the bullshit diversity and equity stuff is that somewhere along the line, schools stopped teaching children how to read. And this is the result of that. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you guys. There we go. A Baltimore city teacher came forward with devastating information that showed 77% of students tested at one high school are reading at an elementary school level. The teacher works at Patterson High School, one of the largest high schools in Baltimore, with a 61% graduation rate and nearly a $12 million budget. We agree not to identify the source, who fears retribution for giving Project Baltimore the results of the iReady assessment. iReady assessments are given in the Baltimore City schools to help determine at which grade level a student is performing in math and reading. The scores are not made public. If the media requests them, the district will redact most of the results. But Project Baltimore obtained the results for all of the students tested at Patterson High School. In reading, 628 Patterson High School students took the test. Out of these students, 484 of them, or 77%, tested at an elementary school reading level. That includes 71 high school students who were reading at a kindergarten level and 88 students at a first grade level. Now, I was a reader when I was a kid. You can never get books out of my hands. I would actually get detention in school for reading my books during class, even though I would get like all A's in the class without really trying that hard. But I read my own books. I liked R.L. Stine quite a bit. I had all the R.L. Stine horror books. I liked Mrs. Pigglewiggle. Mrs. Pigglewiggle was pretty rad. That was my favorite books in elementary school. I liked the Ramona books quite a bit. You can never get a book out of my hands. I was reading at a kindergarten and first grade level before I was in kindergarten. I was reading at that level when I was like 4 years old. I'm sure many of you have the same experience. I cannot imagine a reality in which I made it to high school reading the same books that I was reading when I was 4 years old. That is shocking. It is shocking that 77% of the students in this high school are reading at an elementary school level. This is why we need to defund the public schools. People always say to me when I say defunding the public schools, they're like, Carlin, what are we going to do? Do you think that it could get much worse than this? There was a time when people actually cared about students learning how to read and write. There was a time in our country, and frankly in the world, when we were able to teach people how to read and write without the help of the goddamn schools. If this is the result that the schools are producing, then why are we funding them in the first place? To the tune of tens of thousands of dollars per student, and you can't teach them to read. You aren't teaching them to read. Naruto says this is how they make someone a slave to the system. That is exactly right. That is exactly right. You want to talk about equity? The kids in this inner city school in Baltimore, who I am sure are disproportionately black, are not going to be able to function in the real world because they can't read. Another 45 are reading at a second grade level. Just 12 students 12 students, not 12%, 12 students tested at Patterson High School were reading at grade level, which comes out to 1.9%. Project Baltimore asked how a student who reads at an elementary level could reach high school. That is a great question. They're pushed through, replied the teacher. They're not ready for the workforce. They're not ready for further education. When asked if it's social promotion, the teacher replied, yes. Baltimore City Schools has a one-fail policy which states students cannot be retained a second time prior to ninth grade. Holy shit. So if they hold students back one time prior to ninth grade, they can't hold them back again, even if they can't read. That means students go to the next grade level no matter how little work is completed. North Avenue has been pointing to studies showing students learn better with grade level peers, saying multiple retentions should be a last resort for students. Do you know what this reminds me of? For those who did happy hour this week, happy hour was another doozy this week. We do happy hour at 5 p.m. on my second channel, Actively Unwoke. For those who did happy hour this week, we watched an anti-racist math training. An anti-racist math training for teachers. I have previously read the entire textbook on this channel. You can go back. The stream was in like August or something. In the anti-racist math teacher training textbook, they literally teach that you don't need to complete Algebra 1 in order to go on to Algebra 2, that it is racist or white supremacist to teach people that in order to go on to Algebra 2 in schools, that students need to learn Algebra 1. They say that expecting students to advance through a sequential order of subjects is white supremacy. They're literally saying the same thing in this article. They're saying the same thing. They're actually saying that teachers are arguing that multiple retentions for students should be a last resort because students should be able to go on to the next grade level regardless of how much work they actually complete. These numbers aren't lying, the teacher told Project Baltimore. We truly need families to see these numbers and to understand what it is. Well, you're the teachers, dude. You're the teachers. Why aren't you doing something about it? Project Baltimore over the years has interviewed parents, teachers, and community activists who all say children are being pushed through the school system without getting the education they need, and no one is doing anything about it. This is why the public schools need to be defunded. Everyone knows what the problem is. There is no question about what the problem is. And I understand that defunding the public schools is scary for a lot of people. You think, what am I going to do? It's my free babysitting. I get all of that. But do you want your kids to learn how to read or don't you?